Rak Chazak. God's war cry. Be strong, be bold, don't be afraid or frightened of them, for Adonai, your God, is going with you. He will neither fail you nor abandon you. Next, Moshe summoned Joshua and, in the sight of all Israel, said to him, Be strong, be bold, for you are going with this people into the land Adonai swore to their ancestors he would give them. You will be the one causing them to inherit it. But Adonai, it is he who will go ahead of you. He will be with you. He will neither fail you nor abandon you. So don't be afraid or downhearted. Deuteronomy 31 verses 6 to 8. This text is the origin of an ancient war cry that has lasted throughout all the generations of the Hebrew people, and it is called Rak Chazak. Chazak represents the power of spiritually zealous hearts, the game face of mighty men, the tenacity of a warrior's soul, the gritting of the teeth of the inspired man of war, and the baring of those teeth to the enemy. It is also expressed by others as possessing a resolute and growling resolve for the glory of God, a flush of spiritual fervor, and a tensing of all a soldier's muscles. And Amatz is heavenly audacity. It is daringly rushing into the most hazardous and impossible battles, without pausing to consider the impossibilities. It is a confidence in victory, even before the field is taken. This is the rousing cry, with a call from one of the ruling angels, referred to in 1 Thessalonians 4 verse 16. And what about the reference to God's shofar? Numbers 10 verse 9 reads, When you go to war in your land against an adversary who is oppressing you, you are to sound an alarm with the trumpets. Then you will be remembered before Adonai your God, and you will be saved from your enemies. Therefore, the rousing war cry heard is of a ruling angel, and the trumpet is also blown by one of the ruling angels, and fittingly so, as military leaders of the heavenly army. A proponent of this heresy of a divine angel might insist still that this shout is the ruling angel Mikha'el bringing about the resurrection, in reference to 1 Thessalonians 4 verse 16, and quoting John 5 verses 28 to 29, which reads, Don't be surprised at this, because the time is coming when all who are in the grave will hear his voice and come out, those who have done good to a resurrection of life, and those who have done evil to a resurrection of judgment. Well, we have so far seen that the voice of a ruling angel is a war cry, so it cannot be a call to the resurrection and judgment of the dead. And the war cry goes hand in hand with the sounding of the shofar. In verse 21, the Lord says, Just as the Father raises the dead and makes them alive, so too the Son makes alive anyone he wants. And in verses 25 to 26, he continues to say, Yes, indeed, I tell you that there is coming a time. In fact, it's already here, when the dead will hear the voice of the Son of God, and those who listen will come to life. For just as the Father has life in himself, so he has given the Son life to have in himself. The Lord said that the time is coming and has also come for him to raise the dead, and that in both times his voice would raise the dead. Now, we know that the voice of the Son of Man referred to is not a war cry, and it was never the case in any of the resurrections he performed. There were neither archangelic war cries, nor were there war trumpets sounding when he rose the dead back to life. So, at the Lord's return, the dead will not be raised back to life by a war cry of, or a trumpet sound by, an archangel. Rather, the Lord will appear with the army of the heavenly host and will call the dead out of their graves back to life. There is yet another text that the believers of a divine Mikha'el use to support their heresy. It is Exodus 23 verses 20 to 23, which reads, I am sending an angel ahead of you to guard you on the way and bring you to the place I have prepared. Pay attention to him, listen to what he says, and do not rebel against him, because he will not forgive any wrongdoing of yours, since my name resides in him. But if you listen to what he says and do everything I tell you, then I will be an enemy to your enemies and a foe to your foes. When my angel goes ahead of you and brings you to the Emery, Hitti, Prezi, Kinani, Hivi, and Avusi, I will make an end of them. They emphasize two parts: that God's name is said to be in the angel, and that the angel, according to them, has the ability to forgive sins or wrongdoing. The truth is right in front of the reader of the text. But before we can understand God's name residing in the angel, let us first address the forgiveness of wrongdoing part. From verse 20, we know that God was sending an angel to guard and guide Moshe and his people. The mission of the angel is to relay geographical guidance, as commanded by God to Moshe. It is to make sure Moshe gets to the place God had prepared for them. This is therefore not spiritual or moral guidance, and therefore neither is the possible wrongdoing mentioned. The wrongdoing referred to would be rebellion, intentional and willing deviation from the instruction of the angel, which is actually God's instruction. Thus, the name of God being in the angel, which is not referred to as a ruling angel, does not mean that the angel is God or has the powers of God. The lack of forgiveness for Moshe's rebellion implies that it would be met with punishment, as we generally associate punishment in this context with God, which provides meaning to the name of God residing in that angel. This also shows the seriousness of this journey, that Moshe should make sure to do exactly what God, through the angel, instructs him. In our third and final episode, we will dive into the sacred scriptures and explore who Christ is in contrast to the Archangel Michael.